Okay, guys, I know you don't have this with y'all, but I'm gonna be, I'll load it to our classroom if you wanna follow along and write in it. I know we just did fiscal policy. You saw that on the PowerPoint yesterday, but I wanna go back and talk about what the government is doing. So fiscal policy, which we saw from John Maynard Keynes, is the idea that the government uses the use of taxing and government spending. Ooh, my pen is running out. This is not good. Let me get another one. Okay, so it's the government's use of taxing and government, if I just abbreviate government, are y'all okay? Spending to promote economic stability or growth. So what we're gonna look at is, and I'm slowing it down today, just to go back and look at what we did. So we know this phase of the business cycle right here is called an expansion. And our problem in an expansion is inflation is over 3%. So we have it, the cause is demand pull inflation. And we know this graph. I could draw it out. Price level, and this is real GDP. I have aggregate supply. Here's my aggregate demand. There's too much demand, right? So my aggregate demand curve is up here, right? Price level was low, price level was high, but we're producing still the same amount. So sorry guys, that was not an earthquake. I just hit the camera stand. We see that the price level is going up, causing that inflation. So the solution is for our government to decrease the aggregate demand. And the only way to do that is to do a contractionary fiscal policy. And what that means is the government will increase taxes so that pulls money out from people's pockets. So aggregate demand will go down and then the government spending will go down. So if the government initializes this, here's price level, here's real GDP, aggregate supply, here's my aggregate demand, right? Really high inflation. If the government increases taxes, that means people have less money to spend, so the aggregate demand goes down, causing the price level to go down. What this will lead to, because the government is going to tax, this is going to lead to them getting money and is going to lead to a budget surplus. Okay? Currently, our government is not doing this right now in its fiscal policy. So what we're going to look at is over here on this phase of the business cycle. We know this phase of the business cycle is a contraction. And the problem in a contraction is that we have unemployment over 5 to 6%. Currently today, they're saying our unemployment rate because of COVID-19 is about 20%. So we know 6 months of data that will tell us when we're contraction. Some of the statistics going right now with real GDP declining, unemployment going up, aggregate demand going down, that tells us all those predictors that we're in a contraction. And the cause of this is aggregate demand has gone down. So if I were to graph this out, here I have my aggregate supply, price level, real GDP. I would have everything at ideal. And I want to show less demand, so there it goes to the left. The solution is to increase the aggregate demand. So the policy that would run is an expansionary fiscal policy. What the government wants to do is decrease taxes and increase government spending. If Okay, so for example, today the government is doing that currently, and they took $2 trillion on. The government didn't have it, so that leads to a deficit. Okay, so if the government, I'm going to graph out, if they do this policy, here's the price level, here's real GDP. If the government were to increase spending, right, we are in a recession there, either spending through unemployment benefits, and getting people to get jobs, this would increase the aggregate demand and it would shift us to the right. Okay, so this is what we did last time. Last thing here, an abnormal contraction has the problems of high unemployment, and high inflation. And when you have this abnormal contraction, fiscal policy under John Maynard Keynes cannot work. And this is what's we need to use supply side, which we will talk about fiscal policy to resolve this issue. Okay, guys, I'm going to do one more thing with y'all. Actually, I'm going to do this one later because it deals with stagflation. I don't know if I've taught it yet.